Have you ever wondered what it's like to live in Kelowna's most luxurious neighborhoods? Well, in under 20 minutes, I'm gonna teach you everything there is to know about living in the top 5 neighborhoods of Kelowna that have the best luxury lifestyle. So let's get right into it. So to start off, luxury living doesn't just mean the areas that have the most expensive homes. Now, obviously with these neighborhoods that I'm gonna go over today, yeah, they're gonna have very expensive homes, even compared to our already high market standards here in Kelowna and the Okanagan. But what I consider luxury living, it's more of a lifestyle than just one thing or another. Maybe it's a combination of a few things, from access to high-end amenities, exclusivity, waterfront properties, incredible views, new builds, and of course, yes, high-end real estate. But let's get into my options for the top 5 areas I consider to have the best luxury living in Kelowna. In no particular order, we're not going 5 to 1 here. These are all incredible places, and I just want to give you a solid overview about what each area is like, what it's like to live there, and what you can expect the lifestyle to be like there with the high-end price tag. So there's no better place to start than with our first neighborhood, and that's going to be Crawford Estates. Now, Crawford Estates is going to be a few things on this list, and one of them is going to be the smallest communities on the list. Crawford is a slightly secluded area located in the southeast area of the city. It's bordered by Southeast Kelowna and the Upper Mission neighborhood. And now all these areas are going to be family-friendly areas. Kelowna itself is a very family-friendly environment. And certainly there's certain areas that are going to have more of that family-friendly lifestyle and appeal than others. And I think Crawford Estates is probably going to top out on that list as well. You'll notice it when you come into this community. It almost feels like its own private gated community or small town. But with Crawford, you are in the heart of the suburbs in Kelowna. All there is in this area is single family homes. Not too many busy roads, tons of cul-de-sacs, and you're going to find larger properties on at least half of an acre. Now you're going to find any age range of homes from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, some early 2000 builds, and some homes that had to be rebuilt after the 2003 fires. This area was heavily affected, and it ran through a good chunk of the neighborhood, but not all of it. Mostly the area that's going to be closest to the bush line. Now, being the smallest area, this is going to have the least amount of sales, so it's definitely going to be one of the harder areas to get into because there's always less for sale in Crawford. People generally move into this area and they stay for the long haul. And this is definitely the area where you can feel very comfortable with your kids walking out the front door, walking themselves to a park, and not having to constantly worry about them. It's far enough away from the city while still relatively close to amenities. Now, that would usually definitely be one of my biggest gripes about Crawford, is the fact that it really doesn't have great access to amenities. But now with the new ring road that connects Crawford Estates to the Upper Mission and the new village at the ponds, Crawford is less than 10 minutes away from Save On Foods, Shoppers Drug Mart, and much more to come in that area. Now, like I said, these are large houses. Some of them are very luxurious, usually with a big yard, often with a pool, and most of the properties up here are going to be on septic, which isn't a big issue, but it's something you have to be aware of. And if you have no experience with what it's like to live on septic, that's definitely information that you should look into. But again, I thought I'd just mention that it's not really an issue and it's definitely not a deal breaker. Now, for all of the average home prices, or I should say median home prices, what I did was take the median average sales price over the last 180 days and the median price of the active current listings, added them together and got the average of both of them. And so for Crawford, you have an average home price currently of $1,500,250. This is definitely going to be one of the most expensive areas on the list, but you have to remember too, a lot less goes for sale here, but this is a fantastic area to live. I love Crawford because it has that family-friendly vibe like I won't stop talking about. It has great access to nature. I mean, you have Crawford Falls up here. You have tons of walking trails around the area. You have great access to Myra Bellevue Regional Park, which is going to give you hiking trails, a lot of mountain biking trails. The biggest downside about Crawford is most places do not have a view. Unless you're on certain streets that get you a little higher up, or you kind of are on the mountainside that looks over to the Upper Mission and into the canyon, there's a good chance you won't have much for a view. But this isn't the area you're coming to for a view. This is an area that if you want to situate someone for the long haul with your family, it's going to be a fantastic option. Now let's move on to our next place, and that's going to be the Upper Mission. Now for the Upper Mission, I combine the Upper Mission and Kettle Valley together, and they're usually synonymous with each other, but I will break up the small differences between the two areas. So Upper Mission is one of the more expensive areas on this list, but I also believe it's the area that's going to be coming up in value the most. I know it's not because I live in this area. I just think there's so many new developments, master plan communities, and amenities that have gone into this area over the last 3 years that prices are just going to continue to increase. increase. From the ring road that alleviates traffic and gets you great access to Crawford and Southeast Kelowna, to the beautiful Canyon Falls Middle School, and to the growing village at the ponds, which is bringing us shops like I mentioned earlier, Save On Shoppers, there's a Starbucks coming in, a liquor store, a Bosley's pet store. It's just continuing to increase in value. And it's already a high-end neighborhood, but it seems to be growing for the better all the time. Now, the majority of this area is going to be single-family homes. There is some townhouses, there's some luxury gated communities, but right by the village at the ponds, they are finally adding some condos to this area. So I think that's just going to appeal to a wider variety of individuals and bring more life to this area. Now, some of those master plan communities I talk about. So the Upper Mission, Kettle Valley, you're not going to find waterfront properties, but you are going to find some of the most incredible views in the entire city. From up at the top on Gordon to along the edge on Kettle Valley's southern perimeter, you get some incredible unobstructed 360 panoramic views from Penticton to West Kelowna to Kelowna City, and of course Lake Okanagan. Now, some of those incredible master plan communities I've talked about are Kuiper's Peak and Trailhead at the Ponds. These homes are situated near the top of Gordon and offer some of Kelowna's best new construction in the city. Many of these homes are a modern style, often coming with a pool, a view, and a suite to not only give you that luxury feeling with a lot of the amenities, but also the ability to have a mortgage helper and cut down on some of the costs. And they have some really high-end experienced builders like Carrington Homes and Dilworth Homes working in the area, so you can definitely trust the work in a lot of these properties. Now, the Upper Mission proper, kind of around the village at the ponds, is going to have some new builds and a lot of custom built homes, and Kettle Valley has that as well. Also a lot of smaller homes, some townhouses, and a very specific style of architecture that really creates this uniformity to the community. Now, I always kind of feel like there's three sections. There's Upper Mission proper, where I am, and in this area you're going to find anything from 80s to early 2000s homes. Kettle Valley is going to be similar, more 90s to early 2000s to mid 2000, and then there's kind of the in-between area, which is the oldest area of the Upper Mission, kind of off of Okaview and Curlew, and in that area you're going to find a lot of older homes, anything from 60s all the way to 90s, and of course some new builds in certain areas, but that's going to be the oldest area of the Upper Mission. Now, the average home price for these two communities, for Kettle Valley, it's going to be an average home price of $1,492,375, and Upper Mission is going to be $1,350,247. So like I said, there are hefty price tags to pretty much every community we're going to be going over, hence the luxury living portion of it. Now, along with the family-friendly lifestyle that the Upper Mission Kettle Valley have with great access to schools, this area has a ton of parks, too many to count, spread out through the entire area. Great access to nature, great access to walking trails that lead you through one end of Upper Mission to one end of Kettle Valley. You have some wineries like Summer Hill and Cedar Creek Estates. But even in terms of luxury living, this area is something for everybody. From new construction, some of those master plan communities, you have some gated luxury communities in this area, or you just have large, family-friendly, huge homes with tons of bedrooms, ability to suite, pools with views in an area that offers an incredible lifestyle. Now, let's move on to the next neighborhood. But before we do, if you're even considering buying or selling in the Okanagan, make sure you reach out to me. My name is Brett Boholij. I'm a relocation expert. I want to help you out. I want to help you simplify the process, give you my firsthand knowledge of what it's like to live here as a local and to relocate here as someone who's not originally from here. So make sure if you have any questions, you call me, text me, email me 7 days a week at the information that's on the screen right now, in the description below, and also pinned in the comments. Now, I bet you didn't expect this next place to be on the list if you follow my channel, but yeah, the next place is the other half of the mission, this time the Lower Mission. Now, the Lower Mission has to be on here because if you're looking at luxury living, one of the biggest things people look for is amazing waterfront property, and the Lower Mission is the king of waterfront luxury living. Out of all the options here, the Lower Mission is going to have the best beach access. It's sandwiched between the Upper Mission and Kelowna South and runs entirely along the water. Now, the problem with that can be if you're not directly on the water, you're not going to have much for a view in here. It is the flattest place on the list, which isn't a bad thing, and it might be something a lot of people are looking for, but the downside of that obviously is if you're set back, if you're on the other side of Gordon even, you're not going to get much for a view, but you might get some bigger property. Some of these areas in the Lower Mission, like off of Sarson's, off of Hobson, have some truly incredible, stunning estates. Some on some decent sized acreages. They're often gated, incredible custom builds that you'll be lucky enough to visit never mind live in. Now, thankfully I have a drone so I can show you some of these properties, but really if you're here and you're wanting to check some of these places out, they are truly incredible. Because these luxury estates on the water don't sell as often, the lower mission's average home price is actually one of the lowest on the list, surprisingly, because the lower mission has so many options, not just in terms of its brand new developments in townhouses and condos, but also for single family homes. The average price at the time of this video is $1,195,125, which yes, isn't exactly cheap, but compared to some of the other places on the list is definitely down there for the most affordable. Some of these sections that have older homes often have a bigger parcel of land, and land in this area goes for a hefty price tag. Now with this area, you also have some premier high-end master plan communities like the Orchard at the Mission that has some beautiful new builds, very similar to the Trailhead at the Ponds, with a lot of the same builders like Carrington Homes. The lower mission also has some of the best options for schooling, from Dorothea Walker to Okanagan Mission Secondary School to Anne McClymondt, and tons more, plus private options. And of course, you have great access to the Mission Greenway, the Mission Fields, the H2O Center, the Capitol News Center, as well as grocery stores, restaurants, and really everything you need in life. The lower mission, like I said, has amazing beach access. It's going to give you an endless number of beaches to go visit, from Hobson, Sarsens, Gyro, Rotary, Bertram. If you have a pet, the lower / upper mission also shares the Cedar Creek Dog Park, which is one of the most beautiful parks. And never mind just for a dog park, it's one of the most beautiful parks in the entire city, and it has a great dog beach just down at the bottom of it, and it's a really fun place to check out if you have an animal. And if you don't have an animal, you can go check it out. Right across the streets is going to be Cedar Creek Wineries, so there's a reason for everyone to go there. Just remember, if you are getting a waterfront property, there are a ton of things to think about, from foreshore rights to riparian restrictions to dock permits, and a lot more that I won't get into in this specific video. But if you do have any questions, make sure you reach out to me. I just had someone recently reach out about this, so it's definitely hot on my mind, and I just wanted to put that out there. Not that it's not still a great option, obviously. If you can afford it and you want to, waterfront living is incredible, but it does come with its own set of things that you have to consider. All right, moving on. Let's move on to one of the newest communities on this list, and that is going to be the Wilden community. Wilden is situated just north of North Glenmore, on the way out of town, just off of Glenmore Road, and is a beautiful high-end modern community. So what you're going to find with this area is it has a ton of modern builds. You drive through the streets, so you can see from this B-roll a lot of modern style homes, which if you're into is great. If you're not, your options are a little more selective. Not say that you can't find something, but it's definitely the uniform style of this area. Kind of like how Kettle Valley has a bit of a uniformity, Wilden has its uniformity in new high-end modern style housing. Now, Wilden itself doesn't necessarily have any amenities, but it's right attached to Glenmore and has really quick, easy access to get to all of Glenmore's amenities, which are abundant. And it also has all of the great schooling options that Glenmore has. Now, certain homes in this area are going to give you a view off of the backside and give you some nice views of Okanagan Lake, but otherwise you could get some great views of Glenmore. You could be situated around Hidden Lake, which is a fantastic, not really well-known area of Wilden, again, because it's so close to Glenmore, and Glenmore is up there for the top of family-friendly areas. This is a family-friendly area as well. You're gonna find a lot of homes with pools here, and the nice thing about Wilden, like a lot of other areas, but you're gonna have some great access to nature here. Now, the average home price for Wilden is $1,426,000. And Wilden is kind of synonymous with Glenmore, like Kettle Valley is to the Upper Mission, and I would consider it Glenmore's high-end master plan community. So if you're looking to live in Glenmore, but maybe just a bit more elevated, then Wilden is gonna be a fantastic option for you. Now, lastly, we're gonna go over a community that I've yet to talk about in any of my videos to this point. And maybe it's because it's a bit out of town, but it's a hidden gem in Kelowna that should never be forgotten. And that is the McKinley Landing neighborhood. Now, if you watch my Lake Country video, McKinley Landing is Kelowna's Lakestone. It's very similar in its design, it's similar in its amenities, and its high-end luxury lifestyle. McKinley Landing is less than 10 minutes north of North Glenmore, heading towards Lake Country off of Glenmore Road, and is definitely the top of the list out of the areas that I've mentioned in terms of the feel of exclusivity. You totally feel separated from Kelowna. Although you're less than 15 minutes away from Glenmore's amenities, you are still out of town enough that you're not bothered by any of the hustle and bustle that you might feel being inside of the city. Now, in terms of luxury living, this area has everything. Luxury custom-built homes, waterfront properties, some amazing views of the lake, and a ton of premier communities from the Benches, from Juniper Grove, the Pines, Parkside, just to name a few. So like Lakestone, McKinley, the McKinley Beach area, some of these communities have a strata fee that will go towards maintenance, like snow removal, maintenance of the roads, and obviously upkeep and paying for the shared amenities that these areas have. Tie-in facilities that have gyms, to pools, to tennis courts and pickleball courts. It feels more like you're living in a luxury resort than actually a neighborhood. So the price tag that comes with this private field is going to be an average home price of $1,432,249. But it's absolutely an area that I highly recommend checking out and getting a feel for. Now, the only downside I can say with this community is its relative distance to town. Now, compared to most of the other places that I've mentioned, it's going to be the farthest out. But the reason you're coming out here is because you want to be a little out of the way. And although it's a bit farther out of town, it still has some great accessibility. It might take you a little longer to get there, but like I said, you're 10 minutes away from Glenmore, which is the most accessible neighborhood in the entire city. It's a quick drive out the way to Lake Country, and you have great access to the university and airport from this neighborhood. And they don't just have single family homes here either, they also have condos and townhouse options. So if you're delving into luxury living, you're probably gonna have even more questions about some of these areas. Or if you're even interested in other towns that might have luxury options at a bit lesser of a price tag, I'm happy to field any of those questions for you. Just make sure you reach out to me at the contact information on the screen below. Call me, text me, email me. I'm here to make your buying or selling process in the Okanagan as simple as possible. Don't hesitate to reach out to me 7 days a week. My job as a relocation specialist is to answer your questions before you make the move here. So make sure you reach out to me, book a consultation, and I will make your home buying and selling dreams a reality. Make sure to comment down below and let me know what your favorite community out of these 5 are. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to this channel. My goal here is to provide you value and overview Kelowna, West Kelowna, and all of the communities in the surrounding area to help provide you with as much information of what it's like living in the beautiful Okanagan Valley. If you're still watching, thank you, and stick around to the end of the video to get directed to my full tour of Kelowna and to a playlist that contains a ton of videos of useful information, from pros and cons videos to cost of living videos, to help you be extremely knowledgeable of why you should move here. If you made it this far, thank you guys for watching. My name is Boholij, your Okanagan real estate professional and relocation specialist. This is my channel, Living in Kelowna BC, and I will catch you in the next video.